Are you looking for ways to practice your craft of acting while stuck inside the house? Well, good for you. I've got 5 ways you can make that happen in the safety of your self-isolated shelter-in-place homestead. Let's hop into it. If you don't know already, I'm Mark St. Cyr. I play Mr. Mazzara, a series regular character on Disney's High School Musical, the series. By the end of this video, you will have 5 different ways you can be building your craft and building your mind as an actor, and you can come out of the quarantine perhaps even more talented than the way you went into it. So acting is an active profession. It requires you to actually do the work, but also it's about putting things into your mind and allowing the best types of performances and inspiration and art to settle into your mind so that they can inspire you, so that when you're acting, something spontaneously amazing can come out of you. So with that in mind, I have a couple of tips that are about inputs and a couple of tips that are about outputs. So let's start with the inputs. The first thing that you can do, number 1, is read great plays. And my recommendation for reading great plays would be to go to the Pulitzer website and look at what are the top Pulitzer nominated plays from the last, say, 20 years, and you read the winners and you read the nominees, and you're gonna stumble across some pretty excellent writing along the way, and it's gonna flood your mind with really great work. Larry Moss loves to talk about the way that you fall back in love with acting, if you are out of love with acting, is to fall in love with great writing, and I think he's definitely onto something. So when I read something that's very exciting to me, that impassions me as an actor, it inspires my desire to act and do something. When I read something that's very mediocre or very middling, I don't feel very inspired or excited to act. So one way we can inspire our acting muscles is by reading great writing, and my favorite way to do that right now would be either going to the Pulitzer winners and nominees or going to the Tony Award winners and nominees for new plays. Tip number 2, still on the inputs, is to watch great movies. But more than just watching great movies, I would consider studying either one actor who you really admire, say someone like Daniel Day-Lewis or Adam Driver or Denzel Washington. For me, these are people that I've looked up to at different points in my career, or that I find exciting for different reasons. Meryl Streep is very exciting. And you watch all their movies. Just watch all of them and watch them grow and watch them progress. You just stick with Adam Driver and everything that he's done for a while, or just stick with Meryl Streep and everything she's done for a while. Stick with Viola Davis and just watch it go. And you'll start to see how they transform and change, and then the things that are innate to them even as they transform and change. I think Meryl Streep and Daniel Day-Lewis are specifically very exciting because of how much they like to transform their being. But if you watch them, at the core, there is an essence about them that is consistent, but the characters change so much. So they're very exciting people to watch. That would be one way to watch great movies, is to watch a filmography. And the other way that I would recommend you do it is just go through the Oscar nominees for best performances and just watch the ones that you think you might be excited to watch. I'm not saying watch every Oscar-nominated performance of the last 20 years, but watch the ones that you think will be exciting, because it's all about reinvigorating that passion while we're inside the house and we're not allowed to do as much, and we have to kind of bottle up our creativity, watch things that excite you. So that would be my second tip. Okay, so my third tip, this one's also coming from Larry Moss. Larry is very big on working your voice every day. So if you have a voice warm-up, use your voice. Today I have these, so today I listened to an old voice lesson that I have on my iPhone. So I used to take voice lessons every week, and for 1 year I just committed to taking voice lessons every week. So sometimes I'll just turn on a voice lesson and redo the vocal exercises just to practice warming up my voice. Or if you have a vocal production coach that gives you a vocal warm-up with tongue twisters and such, do that every day. That will strengthen your instrument, strengthen your ability to communicate, and you will come out a stronger actor in the end. So tip number 3 is vocal training. Tip number 4, learn monologues. Tip number 4 is learning monologues. And you can pair this with tip number 1 of reading excellent plays. And when I say learn monologues, I'm going to go at this again. Learn something that's exciting to you. Don't go into it with this idea that you have to pick the right monologue that's the right type for the right audition that you may have in the future. If that excites you, then go ahead and do that. I think that is great. If you, what excites you is like, for me, if I really wanted to pick an August Wilson monologue, because I just think that there's something about that material that's challenging for me and exciting for me that I relate to. And if there were auditions on the line that I was excited about that I thought this monologue would be useful for, then that would be one way to do it. But really, I should be picking the August Wilson monologue because I think it's going to be exciting and challenging for me. If there's a role that might not be your gender or might not be your age range, but that the monologue excites you and you feel like you can relate to it from a real place and you're excited about trying to understand that character's point of view and putting yourself in those circumstances, this is your work. This is your craft. No one else is judging you, telling you what to do at home. That's kind of the freedom of being at home working on your own thing. So pick that. If you want to do King Lear and you're like a 18-year-old girl or something, just work on his monologues and find your kernel of truth in them the best that you can. Now, obviously, I wouldn't audition with a King Lear monologue for like a Shakespeare company if I'm an 18-year-old female, but if you want to work on it and it's something that's exciting to you and challenging to you and you just want to find some kind of truth in it or find some kind of kernel of what is exciting to you about King Lear, if that excites you, if you're an 18-year-old girl and King Lear excites you, go do King Lear. If his daughter roles excite you, do the daughter roles, you know? But I really think excitement and imagination, those things will carry you really, really far. So do some monologues that excite you. Pick up a few monologues and start working on them. A good place to start would be to grab one Shakespeare monologue because those things are free and easily available online. You don't even have to order them, which I know for some of us ordering plays and getting access to plays is very challenging. So that would be one way to do it, is to go through the Shakespeare stuff that's out there online and just pick one out for yourself that excites you. If you have access to plays or you're ordering the plays that I mentioned that you're reading earlier, then pick a play that excited you or that stimulated your thought. One way to pick monologues, this is another Larry Moss tidbit, I think he got it from Uta Hagen, is he talks about picking things that are in your blood memory. So for example, I'm black and French, and you can tell I'm probably, there was a white guy somewhere down the line, but if I do a monologue that is Southern, because I'm from the South, there's something that speaks to me genetically that I get excited about. I'm like, oh, there's something there for me. Or if I pick a French African monologue or a French monologue, or even, I don't know why, I once did a German monologue and I connected to it so well, so I don't know why that is, but picking stuff that's somewhere in your heritage can be very exciting. Don't let that limit you, because I know some of us come from heritages that we don't feel are highly represented in plays or movies yet. So pick things that excite you. That's one of the beautiful things about Shakespeare. Tons of opportunities. There's no races put on the roles except for maybe Othello's play or The Merchant of Venice. But other than that, it's pretty wide open. So yeah, learn some monologues. Okay, so my fifth tip is about impersonations. If you have an impersonation that you've been working on for a while, now is the time to perfect it. Just stalk those clips, get them going. You know, I used to do one for Obama. Michelle, can you bring Molly in here, please? Yeah. So, or recently I saw a Cardi B. She did a monologue basically on Instagram. It's not a monologue. It's just Cardi B talking about coronavirus. But I was like, how interesting would it be for me to try to be Cardi B? You know. And when you do impersonations, two things I want to say. Like, you can either go to the SNL version where you're hyper accentuating the things that are funny about them, or you can try to fully embody them as a human and try to be honest about the experience. And they're both valuable in different ways. The SNL way is usually you pick like an anchor thing or a core thing about them that's very funny to you, that resonates with you, that you can relate to. But when you're trying to be them, like a biopic or something, you try to find a few anchors and then you try to lose yourself in them as much as possible while honoring the traits about them that are iconic. So impersonate people right now. That's a great way to practice understanding characters and working with your voice and your physicality. And along the lines of impersonating people, this is a little bit of a bonus tip, is you can work on a dialect or an accent. So you can work on your Southern accent. If you haven't done Southern in a while, you can start working on it. You know, you could work on your New York accent. You could work on anything. So that's my bonus tip. Those are 5.5 I think I counted it a little bonus tip. Ways to work on your craft during the pandemic. Because it is what it is, y'all. Stay inside, stay safe, flatten that curve. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you're enjoying it and you got value out of it, please consider subscribing. I do content like this whenever I can. I'm having a little bit more time now, as you can see, to do things. But yeah, I do content like this whenever I can. Subscribe, hit that like button, and let me know what other things you would like me to create for you. Other content you would like to learn about, hear about, things that you would find valuable. I am listening. I have seen that some of you really want more acting lessons, so I might go further into that. I actually have a couple of ideas for that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Stay safe out there.